Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to our show Solutions, wherein we tackle real-life issues and we come up with real-life solutions. I am your host, Bilal Abdulkareem, and I would like to welcome all of our viewers, Muslim viewers, non-Muslim viewers. I'm very happy that you're able to join us here today. Before we begin our special presentation, I would like to introduce our guest. He is the respected Dr. Sheikh Jafar Idris, and we'd like to welcome you to our program, Ya Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you.
We have a comment here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
I'm the person of Abdullah Isa from Nigeria. Actually, to me, what makes some of Westerns or some un-Muslim people to slandering our religious and our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is illiteracy. Illiteracy can make a person to do unexpected things. First, we have to look what is going in the world now. And those people that slander our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they don't understand what Islam is first. And they don't understand what freedom is. They don't understand what life is. They don't understand what humanity is. Even humanity, that they are talking about humanity, they don't know what humanity is. Secondly, misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is making people to make a great mistake that push them to regret here and after. Thirdly, is the way of revealing our religion, Islam religion, to those people. Sometimes our scholars that call themselves scholars, they're making understanding.
Yes.
The way you call a people or someone which is not Muslim is quite different with the way you will reveal to Islam, the Islam to someone who is Muslim.
So you're saying part of the issue is how people are calling others to Islam?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, if this is the issue, Sheikh Jafar, what is the response?
No, I don't think that this is the issue.
You don't think this is the
no.
issue?
I lived in the West, I lived in Britain, I lived in United States, and I think I'm familiar with Western culture, and I don't think that this is the issue. And one of the brothers who said that this is because these people are not religious, they don't care about religion. This is true, but they are targeting Islam in particular. See, there's something interesting. This editor of the paper was interviewed by the BBC.
Yes.
And the interviewer asked him, would you do something like this to a rabbi, an ordinary rabbi? You know what he said?
Yes.
I have my ethics. Of course, he would not do something like this to the Pope.
Yes.
Or to any of the cardinals. Be realistic. Don't think that just by explaining things to people, by showing them the truth, they will accept it. I have just told you that the Quran tells us that some people hate the truth. Some people hate the truth. And people have prejudices and so on, and they're influenced by the propaganda and media of their country. It is good to criticize ourselves, to blame ourselves, but don't think that all of the blame is on us. No.
We had a comment here. Go ahead.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. I'm sure that all Muslims know that this is nothing new, that this has been going on even at the advent of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even some of his family members were calling him names and charging him with being a magician and soothsayer and all those other crazy things that they charge them to do. So I'm one to say that we should look for the solution for this situation in the Deen, in the Quran, in the Sunnah. It's there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his most merciful way has granted us all that we need to live this life. And he's also put this for us as a form of a test. What are we going to do with this? And like you were saying before we took our break, Bilal, know too that sometimes in a lot of situations, the more they criticize Islam, the more people accept Islam, especially people in the West. They're constantly reading all the time. So, you know, we should never overreact. In fact, Muslims are not reactionary people. We think about what we're getting ready to do before we do it. We make our niyyah straight and strong before we make these efforts in order to straighten these situations out. And then we have to put our trust in Allah. Allah is the one that will straighten out this. He will use us. He will use the sincere ones amongst us, but he's the one that will bring this solution to an end. And when this solution is to an end, believe me, there'll be another one, problem that we have to be faced with, inshallah. So, you know, make dua to Allah, follow the Prophet the best way we can, and just be prepared to do what you have to do in order to confront every situation that we'll be confronted with.
I agree. And I think that some of our reactions should be positive. We should take this opportunity to explain some things to people in the West. Most of them are now saying that that this is because they have freedom of expression, but you don't have. So this is I think the time, this is opportunity to explain this to them. In fact, many of them might think that this is the problem. This is freedom of expression. We can tell them that, you know, that there is no absolute freedom of expression anywhere in the world. Yes.
Sheikh Jafar, when does freedom of expression end and this slanderous behavior begin? What's the line?
It is not only slanderous behavior, but there are also other kinds of behavior that, for example, in our religion are forbidden. Now, they think that it is part of their freedom of expression to allow things like blasphemy, like pornography, which we don't approve of. So I think we should make it clear to them. You see, the problem with many people in the West is that they make their traditions, even sometimes their history or their language, the standard by which other cultures should be judged. We have to hammer on that. Tell them, no, you are just a people like other people. If you want to argue with us on rational grounds, on scientific grounds. But don't tell us that this is bad just because we don't approve of it. So we tell them that there is no freedom, absolute freedom of expression anywhere in the world. Every people put a limit to freedom of expression. Where the limit is to be put, here is the difference. This is done according to people's values, beliefs, what they think is good for their country, and so on. So we must make it very clear to them that the difference between us is not about the principle of freedom of expression. We agree that there must be freedom of expression. The difference is about what is to be allowed, what is to be forbidden.
And what's to be forbidden?
No.
Okay. Okay. Sheikh, we are going to take a quick break, okay? And we're going to come back in just about 1 minute. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and we are back. Now, we don't have a lot of time, but what we do want to do is get some comments in and see if we can put a little bit of closure to this issue. And we have a comment over here. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Just a small comment. I remember someone said, the behavior of one man in 1,000 men is greater than the speech of 1,000 men to one man. I want to say that Muslims nowadays, their behavior is not that behavior that tells the West that Islam is the best. This is a problem, and it needs a solution. It needs a solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Again, yeah, akhi, you must be realistic. Do you think that over 1 million people will behave just like the Prophet used to do, or the companions of the Prophet? Even at the time of the Prophet, some people killed some people committed adultery, some people committed fornication, some people stole. So there will be people like this. And in spite of what people are saying about Muslims, in spite of this, people are becoming Muslim. They come to the Muslim world, they are aware of all of our drawbacks, sure. But in spite of this, they see something very good that they don't find in their culture. And so in spite of our shortcomings, people are coming to Islam. This has not prevented them. Perhaps you can tell us about your experience, why people like you become Muslim. And they must have known some very bad Muslims.
I think amongst the people, you have 100 people. If you have 5 that are involved in all types of activity, yeah, that doesn't make it bad. I'm just going to refer to it just because it's what I'm accustomed to.
Yeah.
Americans. If you take Americans, you have 100 Americans, and 5 of them are saying, we hate Islam, we hate Muslims. Does that mean the American people hate Islam? No. Because the American people are, from what I know of them, they are patient, tolerant, just average people. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. This is what we always see. And I think some of the brothers from here, they're from the West. I think that they can back that up. But it's not realistic. This is my opinion. It's not realistic that we would say that because all of the Muslims are not on the character of the Prophet ﷺ, that it provokes this type of reaction. Because we could easily say that if that is the criterion in which they judge us, then perhaps we judge them with the same criterion. Meaning that when they transgress against us, we say, no, all people from Denmark are bad. But all people from Denmark are not bad, just as we just heard. So we have to understand and take everything, I think, in its context, that you got good, you've got bad. You've got some that are in between. And we shouldn't overreact, to make the situation worse. What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, I was going to say that something positive might come out of this. This might, I hope, make people in the West, and I can see signs of this, revise or think again about their concept of freedom of expression.
We hope.
Yes, because they were influenced by the philosophers and leaders and so on. And most of the definitions of freedom of expression and so on were made at different times, when these people were living in small countries, or when they were addressing people who share their beliefs and belong to the same civilization. But now they can see that they are living in the whole world, and so they have to define freedom of expression in a different way. While I was thinking of this, I found something very interesting in the Quran, and I thought that this can be a basis for solution of this problem.
Because we need a solution.
Okay. You know, all of you, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ كَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَّا لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ عَمَلَهُمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us not to revile the deities of other people. And those included idols. Then the Quran said, don't insult them. And he gave us two reasons for this. One is that if you do this with their idols, they will do the same with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you will be blamed for that. And the second reason is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Allah made these people see what they are doing as something good. كذلك زينا لكل أمة عملهم. And I found this interesting because many of the people in the West who call for tolerance justify this by what they believe, by the principle they believe in, that relativism of truth. He sees this way, you see it that way, you have no right to tell him that he is wrong, he has no right to tell you that this is wrong, so you must be tolerant. Now the Quran is solving the problem without resorting to this relativism. It is telling us that, what they are doing is wrong, but they see it as good. They see it as good. And when you treat the people, you treat them according to what they see. So if, and I think that this can be a basis for some international law solution to this problem. We are not saying that people of different cultures should not criticize each other. They have to. But we are saying that there is a difference between reviling, insulting, and so on, and criticizing.
Okay, now we don't have a lot of time, but what we do want to do is get some comments in and see if we can put a little bit of closure to this issue. And I think we have a statement from here. Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, alaikum salam. Thank you for the times. I just have, maybe in a short sentence, I say, we have a problem nowadays. The first problem, it's considered to be two problems. First problem is the problem that caused by Danish people. They make a caricature as slandering Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And another problem is there are various violence happening in Islamic country, destroying the embassy of Denmark. This is a two of problem. We are talking about the problem and the solution. So I have a question to Sheikh. So how should be the solution that supposed to do by all Muslims facing this problem nowadays, and how should be the Danish people do in order to make a better condition among Muslims? Because I just watched some interview in a live program television in Egypt. There is some statement of Denmark Danish ambassador. He said that Muslims should pardon each other, and Muslims should pardon the non-Muslim if they did some mistake, and I think this is a little common. So what's your opinion about this?
First, we have already said that what these people did to the embassy is wrong. Now, I understand that the editor of the paper apologized. Now,
the editor was fired.
Huh?
The editor was fired.
No.
It was actually the owners who apologized.
No, the editor was not fired. I thought that was the French paper.
That was the French paper.
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay.
Now, the problem now is that the Prime Minister refused to apologize. Not even, we are not saying, telling him to apologize for what the papers did, because he says that I have no control of, this is freedom of speech. But he could have at least said that my government doesn't approve of this. We don't approve of this, and we apologize as a government to Muslims in the world. Some Danish companies, for their own interests, have apologized and said that they, because they deal with Saudi Arabia, they are losing. I understood that one company is losing more than 1 million riyal every day. So
there's some motivation there.
So
But only Allah knows what the real intention
the
is.
good motivation, anyway. So these are among the solutions. And the biggest solution is that there must be, as we said, a revision and thinking again of this principle of freedom of speech, because they should add now some limits to freedom of speech, which would include forbidding insulting prophets and the God that other people worship.
We have another comment over here, so let's see what he has to say.
This statement that a friend of mine taught me here a week or so ago, I think applies right here. It says, and I don't know if it's old or new, but it's like a proverb. He said, don't argue with a fool, because the people might not be able to tell who is the real fool.
Okay.
Well, that's a part of the solution. Well, we are just about out of time here, and we would like to leave our viewers with an impression. The impression is that what we would like to do here with Solutions and as Muslims in general is invite you to something. Now, what is that? I can't invite everybody to my house. I don't have enough room. I have enough money to pay for everybody's food or drink. But we want to invite you to something, and that is to understand what is Islam and what is not Islam. Don't go to the newspapers or your just the person who's in the grocery store to understand what Islam is all about. I think if the people understood who the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam really was, he would know that what Allah said about him is true, in that he is a mercy for all mankind. And he is a mercy in that he teaches us how to behave and how to deal with people in a good, gentle fashion. I think, and Allah knows best, that if more people understood that and endeavored to want to understand that, because sometimes people don't want to understand. As I know a friend of mine once said, that you can't wake up someone who is pretending to be sleeping. So if someone is pretending to be sleeping, you can't wake him up because he doesn't endeavor to understand. So this pretty much wraps up our session here today for Solutions. I am your host, Bilal Abdulkareem, and I would like to thank our distinguished guest, Dr. Sheikh Jafar Idris, who came to visit us, and all of the brothers who participated here today, and all of those who called up and helped us out. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.